You are now listening to Templar Talks. This is episode 9.5, the second part of our Lord of the Rings coverage. Today we are joined by Mitch, the manager of Athena Games. Athena Games is our local game store. There are going to be some pre-release events going on for Lord of the Rings this weekend, 2 days after this podcast goes up, on Friday the 16th of June until Sunday the 18th of June. Tickets will be in the description. If you have a free weekend, I highly recommend coming down. Pre-release is a special kind of magic and something that can't be replicated in your normal game store setting. With all that out of the way, please enjoy the episode.
Welcome to, I think this is episode 9.5 of Templar Talks, because we were doing episode 9, which was another scalp episode without proper mics.
Oh, sure.
About Lord of the Rings, with Todd from the Magic side, and now we've got the Lord of the Rings fandom side. So this is Mitch.
Hello.
Mitch, my guest for today, is the manager of Athena Games. We are filming in Athena Games at the board game kind of library.
The early hours of the morning.
Yeah, it is before the store opens. We've got here bright and early to get this done and have a chat about Lord of the Rings while it's still kind of fresh. Spoilers finished last week, I think. Pre-release is this week.
Yeah, I think we've seen all the cards now from what it looks like.
I think so. I think they spoiled all the Commander stuff at the end of it. For context here, Mitch does not play Magic.
Yes, so the last time I played Magic in any organised sense of the word was Theros.
What, original Theros?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know you played before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I played a bit of Theros, actually at Athena Games when I didn't work at Athena Games at Bank Plane. I played a little bit, got stomped a couple of times. And I was like, not great at this whole Magic thing. I'll go back to miniature games. But no, I haven't really dabbled since. I loved Kamigawa when I was a kid and stuff. But
Yeah. And from the card game side of things, you do play some card games, right?
I play. Play is a strong word, but I do have decks for DBS and for Final Fantasy.
I thought you were pretty in deep with DBS.
Getting stumped.
Oh, okay. So I guess that I think we should go straight into that side of it. The fact that the card games you play, Dragon Ball Super and Final Fantasy, were you Final Fantasy and Dragon Ball fan?
Yeah. So I only came into Dragon Ball because I was like, I like Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Let's do some stuff with it. And it does feel like the Dragon Ball game. And same with Final Fantasy, right? Like I've only played a couple of games with my wife with Final Fantasy, but like I just really like the franchise, and that's what gets me more, which is kind of fun when we're talking about Lord of the Rings, because it's the theme rather than the game.
I think that's the thing with in the Magic community. There's been a lot of discourse. We were talking about some the community even here at Athena. Like there are people very passionate about the no side. Maybe we could do a part 3 with one of those, because we kind of went in the middle ground where me and Todd just kind of don't really like. We were Lord of the Rings fans, but we weren't too in deep with the books. We just don't really care. And from my point of view, I just see it as kind of like a Commander set, like Warhammer was. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever.
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter Secret Lairs. Like I mean, I have a Stranger Things deck from the Secret Lair of that. Like I'm okay with it. It'd be interesting to see the take of the people that are not okay with it. But I suppose there's that question. For you, what is your kind of stance on it? Are you for it? Are you against it?
So as a non-Magic player, I'm very much for it. I think more Lord of the Rings in the world is good as a general thing. I like what they're doing with these kind of sets. I'm someone who tried to build a Commander deck for the Transformers stuff because I like Transformers. So same with Lord of the Rings, and we're getting. I think that shows in the kind of people we've got coming for our pre-release. It's a lot of newer players, a lot of people who have just turned up and been like, Lord of the Rings Magic, tell me more. So I think we're going to have a lot of people who don't have a lot of insight into playing the game, but love Lord of the Rings and want to see it in a different format, like Magic the Gathering. Because I think it's difficult to find a geek who hasn't played Magic the Gathering at some point, in their life.
Right? Like if it's childhood,
Like so, I'm doing the pre-release on the Sunday. If you want to come crush some noobs, along with I think my wife was. She's like 50-50, but she's played Magic with me. Like when we first got together, I think we had some like an intro deck and we played and stuff. So she's kind of tempted, and a few of my Lord of the Rings buddies are coming in, and we have the decks are going to be terrible. It's going to be who's going to know what the mana ratios are? But there'll be characters that we like, and that's the biggest appeal for me with Lord of the Rings. It's seeing, how they've translated Gandalf into a card, and I love the fact, like, for Gandalf is a great example. Like, he's got flash because he just turns up anywhere at any time, completely without reason.
I think a lot of the flavour has been. I don't know if you've seen a couple, like the ones that stand out to me is haste. The ability in Magic is never described, but they described it on the horse. Shadow. See, that's how little I know about Lord of the Rings. I watched it loads as a kid, but and then the other one was it was printed recently. The halfling tokens in the precons are called Tolkien halflings rather than token halflings. It got spoiled really recently.
That's really cool.
Unless that is a troll on Twitter that I've seen, but I buy it. I hope they've done it. That's a nice thing if they've done it.
Either way, I think it works, but that would be a really cool little touch, to be fair.
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job, and like the panoramic scenes, I think are crazy cool. Like, I wish they'd done more of that and less of the. Maybe there are too many variants, like the fact that you've got like Gimli in the fight, normal Gimli, and then Gimli in a ring. Maybe you could get rid of the ring showcase ones. They're the ones that I didn't really see the need for, I guess, because they're from a lot further perspective. The characters are a lot smaller. I think it's supposed to be that they're in situations that are bad or like testing situation. I don't really know, but
I don't think I've seen that those ones. To be fair, I mean, you're definitely going to get the collectors, collectors after those for sure. And that's the thing I think for this set. You're going to have a lot of big Tolkien fans who are after the cards for that, and I mean perhaps that drives down the player side a little bit. But this set is for Tolkien fans, I feel,
Also, if Tolkien fans are after the cards opening the set, in theory, it should make the cards cheaper.
Yeah.
Because, if you guys want the super fancy whatever version, and people are just like after the regular, I need that for my actual deck, it's going to drive the price down, which is great,
I think making it accessible is interesting. Like the Commander decks also look really, really cool. The one with the Witch King and around the wraiths and stuff looks really interesting. I can't remember if that's the Mouth of Sauron deck.
I think they've done an absolutely crazy, job on it anyway. Like in terms of those Commander decks, I think there aren't any themes that I'm like, that looks really lazy. Like the food one with the hobbits is pretty funny. I like that a lot. Maybe the soldier one is a little bit lazy.
That's the Rohan one, right?
Yeah, because that's just like, oh, well, what can we do for Rohan soldiers? But it's still fine.
I guess what would you have done for the other fourth? I think it makes sense in terms of the themes, right? Like, so hobbits seems like a natural fit. Elf and council seems really cool. It's all about voting and things. I think, from what I saw. That looks cool. Mouth of Sauron, and then it's the Rohan one, isn't it?
I mean, so obviously this feeds into WotC being evil money monsters, but I kind of feel they could have done 5 because they could have done dwarf theme, human theme, elf theme, bad guys, and then hobbits. You know what I mean? Like,
unfortunately, I feel that plays into the general Tolkien thing of dwarfs. They don't really get any time. Unfortunately, there's so little we know about dwarfs in terms of the lore.
I don't know if these have any references to. I think it's them in testing moments. I think it was.
Oh, they are. I really like Sauron the Dark Lord card.
I think that
really,
one's
really
cool. But you know, like Boromir failing. You know what I mean? Like I get the idea of it, but I think they're just a little.
I did not know if they were going to put Tom Bombadil in this set, by the way. Because he's such a polarizing character, even for Tolkien fans, because a lot of people hate that part of the book.
So I tried to read the books when I was younger.
Yeah.
I got like 50 pages in and was like, nope. I read The Hobbit first, right?
Yeah.
And then the films came out, watched the films, tried to go back and read the book.
Yeah.
Is Tom, spoilers, in terms of the TV show, is Tom Bombadil supposed to be that guy that like falls from the sky?
That's Gandalf in Rings of Power, you mean, right?
That's supposed to be Gandalf.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, okay. So, but are there theories that say it's
Yeah, people were talking about it being Tom Bombadil.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I read a lot of like, and I'm pretty sure Simon was convinced it was.
Yeah, it's
maybe
crazy Simon. But you know, I don't. I think if he was going to be Tom Bombadil, the biggest giveaway would be if he starts bursting into random song.
Yeah.
But I think to kind of touch on Rings of Power. He makes so many Gandalf references now.
Yeah, that was at the end, right?
Yeah, I think it's 100% confirmed it's Gandalf. If not, it's like a big deep fake, and it's not a smart deep fake. It's we're just going to suddenly change track now because we want to catch you out. But it would have been cool if it. Yeah, I don't know. Tom Bombadil's such a weird character.
So what's the deal? Because he was, as far as I know, he was like completely not in the films, unless I'm.
No, he's not in the films at all.
Yeah, okay.
So, so Tom Bombadil is basically an entity. It's so confusing about what he really is. Okay. He's like an entity that existed from like the world was created, kind of thing.
Okay.
He's not affected by the ring in any way, shape, or form. In such a way that the problem with they talk about giving the ring to Tom Bombadil and trying to get him to take it to Mordor.
Okay.
Because he's not affected.
Yeah,
but the problem is that he is so out of touch with the world, basically, that he would basically drop the ring and he'd forget that he dropped the ring and just soldier on the rest of the way. He's just so oblivious to everything that's going on. He's like from another time, really.
So he's not even that big of a character in the book.
No, he saves the hobbits he saves the hobbits a couple of times. I mean, which is significant in that they don't die.
Yeah, they don't die, but he's just like there and gone.
Very easily to cut. Same as Old Man Willow. Like they're just easy things to cut. And I think it made sense to cut them. Sorry, Tom Bombadil fans. But I think it makes sense. Nobody wants to watch that singing on screen. Nobody. It wasn't good in the books. It's not going to be good on screen. Like it's acceptable in the books, but like I just can't imagine what that would be like on TV. And who would they get to play it? I've got no.
Yeah. I do find that a lot, like, obviously not having read the books, I can't have a full verdict on it, but from everything I understand, I think they did the right moves with the films in terms of obviously what they did cut, how they portrayed it. Like, I think they did, at least from my perspective, I think that they're three of the few films that I've rewatched again 10 years later, and they've genuinely still been good as an adult. Like, whereas for me, sorry, Star Wars fans, when I've rewatched Star Wars, like Empire, like the original ones, they're kind of okay, but the episode 1 is just like, why am I watching this? And even the reboot, I can't really get behind. I'm just
I'm going to go a little bit harder into that because I can't watch 4, 5, and 6.
Really?
I really struggle. They so dated. I'm not a big Star Wars guy anyway. But I just really struggle with them. If anything, I prefer 1, 2, and 3. But maybe that's because I've got fond memories from a childhood.
Rewatching 3, I think, was good because it's got like the darker elements that I think work.
Yeah.
But all the fight scenes I thought were cool as a kid were just like, these are not.
But that's how I feel about 4. I'm like, oh, it's Obi-Wan fights Darth Vader.
Yeah.
But it's a politics time.
Funny enough, as a child, I always thought 5, when it was just 4, 5, and 6, and like 1 was about to come out, I always thought 5 was the worst one. As a kid, from the kid lens of like, I've got this thing. This is super like tangent. I struggle to watch The Simpsons and Family Guy because I hate the stupid character, and I understand that they're portrayed like Homer and Peter are portrayed to be stupid, and that's the point. But for me, I just couldn't watch that whole Yoda in the swamp training Luke thing. So I just got like, even as a child, I was like, this dude is so annoying. Why are we still here? Just leave. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I just couldn't get behind it. It was like, and then especially for 1 as well, like the comedy relief of Jar Jar. It was just like, why? Like, don't put that in a film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a Simpsons person either. No? To be fair, I always struggled with it as a kid. When my sisters wanted to watch it, I was like, not for me.
Yeah.
But going, for Lord of the Rings, I think they made the right cuts. There's people, there's a lot of people who argue, you need to book purists, you need to stick to the book and stuff. I think the film is a really good condensed version of the books. It cuts the right parts. It changes Aragorn quite a bit as a character. He's a lot, but I think, I think they made the right cuts. I think it's, the way to fit it into the time frame they had, I think it's perfect. It's the opposite of The Hobbit, right?
Yeah, oh God,
Whereas they just went, Hobbit, more content.
Yeah.
Let's add more content, meaningless content.
I didn't even bother watching I got a bit way through the second one and just didn't bother. And then the third one I'd never seen. I want to watch it, but like I hated the first one so much because it just felt like the first act of Lord of the Rings Fellowship.
Somehow, the extended version of the first Hobbit movie is better. And I can't tell, even though it's longer, and I can't tell you, but that is not the case for the other two movies.
Okay.
If anything, there's a really good version called, what's it called? The Bilbo Cut.
Oh, okay.
Someone's got all the three films, melded them together into one movie that kind of works. It's a bit choppy in places, but like they've done a really cool job.
I enjoy stuff a lot. Funny thing, I'm again tangent. I'm a big Stranger Things fan, and I always struggled with. I think it's. Have you watched Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Season 2 when 11 goes off and fine. And what I did is when I rewatched it, when I rewatched 1, 3, 4, I love them like from start to finish. 2, always struggled to rewatch it. When I rewatched it recently, I fast forwarded every scene with 11 in, and I loved it. I was just like, when she's off on her own, I'm just like, yeah, skip that bit. And get back to the story.
Was season 2 where she went and found some other people who also had powers?
Which had no relevance on the story.
But that felt like they were about to do a spin-off, right?
Yeah, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
And then they didn't come back and help, and then nothing ever came. Like, we'd never heard from them since.
Yeah.
They
obviously thought, let's try this. Does it work? No.
Yeah.
But yes,
it was just unfortunate. But yeah. But so from Lord of the Rings fans that haven't played Magic, I guess that's the big thing. Magic fans are kind of like, we don't like this in our game, it's bad impact, etc.
Yeah.
Do you think, it's a big question, do you think the people that come in to try the game because it's Lord of the Rings, I think Commander's the obvious where they'll find their home because they can build the Lord of the Rings decks.
Will they say? Or?
Well, if they enjoy the game enough and they like the 1v1 element, do you think the fact that they would have to use a significant portion of non-Lord of the Rings cards, do you think that'd be an issue, or do you think the game holds?
No. I don't. I think if I think for players who are coming in, trying the game at pre-release, or pick up a Commander deck, try the game and think, actually I enjoy this, I don't think it will be a problem putting Magic cards in. Yeah, you are going to get people who want to just use Lord of the Rings cards, 100%. But I think if they're enjoying the game, I don't think it's going to stop them. I mean, Magic is fantasy, right?
Yeah.
So much stuff could be tied into and could be perceived as a Lord of the Rings card, I think, probably anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's an issue. To be honest, I'll be interested to see what the holdover is, I guess, from the set. But pre-release is looking to have a lot of unique people. So
yeah. I think that's the thing. My worry from the Lord of the Rings side, knowing how passionate people can be, is are people going to get alienated trying to come in and be put off by the Magic community in terms of if they come up to Monday Night Commander, shout out Monday Night Commander, Athena Games free to play from 6, half 5, 6,
and promos.
Oh yeah, promos every week. Like it is actually. I don't know how many numbers come because I haven't been able to make Mondays recently, but it was like they usually get a good like 30,
we're like 30 to 40.
Yeah,
still so solid numbers.
Solid numbers, and you can find pods, and even if you don't have anyone else to play with, you can come down and play. My worry is that if you just have a Lord of the Rings deck and you pick the wrong pod to try and join, are you going to get put off by that experience?
Will that not be the same if you bring any pre-con though?
I more mean people just being angry you have Lord of the Rings cards.
Oh, that's on them though.
That is on them.
I would suggest that's on them, and we certainly would
I agree completely.
We certainly would try and prevent any sort of attitude from happening here. Like, I would very much hope that Magic players would be welcoming to Lord of the Rings, people who want to play with Lord of the Rings, because it's more people playing Magic. I think that's the lens they've got to view it through. If you don't like the cards, that's fine. You don't have to put them in your deck, but you should allow be happy with other people playing.
I think that's a big thing. For the reason I always look through that frame is when I first joined Modern, like started playing Magic. Modern was the only day I could come to, so I was just thrown in at that is what I have to play. I can't play Standard. Pioneer didn't exist. I was almost put off because I was told my deck choice was bad, but not in the nice way of like, oh, maybe if you did this, it'd be better. It was just like, oh, that sucks. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, sure, like resilient enough to work through that, and I like the game enough. But from the Magic community perspective, I hope, as you say, that we aren't dicks, to be frank. And I think that is something everyone needs to look at a little bit. Like, it's okay if someone's doing something that you don't like, if it doesn't hurt you, like,
yeah,
sure.
Okay, so not to talk about specific instances, but there was, but I remember very clearly, there was a guy who was a bit newer to Magic. He played someone who was more experienced. The experienced guy absolutely trashed him.
Yeah.
And the takeaway that they were kind of pushing was that this is how they learnt Magic, by crushing them. Therefore, they should learn the same way. And I really dislike that. So I'm quite an experienced Middle-earth tabletop player. Shout out Norfolk Hobbits.
Is that what the group's called? Norfolk Hobbits? I like that.
So I would say, I'm like, mid-table. Sometimes I win. But I would always suggest, like, if the player is new and they seem new, I take my time with things a bit more, explain what I'm doing, offer up examples of what I'm doing on my list. And I would encourage that that's the way that Magic players should approach new people too. Like crushing people and then saying, you know what, mate, come next week and maybe you'll get crushed again. And the week after, and maybe you'll get crushed again. I'm not going to teach you anything. I'm just going to keep smashing you into the ground until eventually you learn something. Yeah. That is not the correct way to get people in. Some people that will work with. Some people are driven enough that they want to come back and get better. But that's not the majority. Like, we want to have a good time, like Dragon Ball's a great example. I get smashed basically whenever I play, but the guys always help me out and so that's the thing too,
Ironically as well, given everything around it, I felt the most welcomed when I first started Flesh and Blood. Yeah. Because every player there pulled out a box of commons, like, have all these, like, these will help you. You know what I mean? Like, and it was done in the right way. Yeah. And I do think that maybe it's just Magic. I don't think it is just Magic. From my perspective, it's a lot of, like, not to down on anyone, but it is a lot of culture around, tabletop games, TCG games. Like, people need to be more welcoming. It shouldn't be as elitist as it is, and I think that is a bit of a... Yeah,
new people in the hobby is great. Yeah, new people with any part of the hobby is great. We should all be happy with that. If you look at, I do some historical wargaming stuff too, and if you see what's happened with historical wargames, basically the age has got older and older and older, and now it's loads of really old people playing it, with some of us younger guys, but struggle to get younger people, because a lot of them were put off not just by the older players, but by elitist attitudes of, the 11th Line Regiment in 1813 actually didn't have yellow buttons. I don't know, by the way, I'm just pulling stuff out of the air. But it's that kind of elitist attitude that destroys communities.
Yeah, but and the thing is, you say that as well, like, for us to be the younger community is like, we're old, right? Like realistically, like, I keep saying this, that, like, how do these games, and I don't think WotC helps in terms of Magic, I don't know about other games, but people need to get 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds into the game, because eventually, the 19, 20-year-olds that play currently might go to uni, they might leave, they might go back from uni, people might have a family by the time they're, mid-20s, 30, and leave the game because they've got a kid. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of great Magic players that come to F&M that can only come once every month because they have a family, right? Like, it's one of those things that happens, and you need to have new blood in the game
100%
to sustain it.
Yeah, I mean, Wizards haven't helped with the lack of intro product. Obviously, Jumpstart, I think, is a good way into the game. Like, that's, at the moment, that's what I'd always pitch new people into. Pick up a couple packs of Jumpstart, your friend picks up a couple packs, smash them together. I don't know why I always say smash them together, but I do. And then play some, play some games. And the Lord of the Rings set is going to have a new introductory deck. It is a little bit more pricey than the old ones.
Do you know how much it is?
I want to say...
I think it's 15 to 20, like that, rather than the 5%.
I want to say it's like $18.99.
Because I think it used to be like $8.99, and they've just put a tenner on it, like, from what I can remember.
And, so it'll be great to have those really cheap starter products back as well.
Or even the decks that you can just give to players. Like, they were amazing.
Don't really set up for that. So.
I mean, welcome boosters are terrible. I remember when I brought someone here and they were given a welcome booster, and I was like, oh, do you not have the decks? And it was like, no, what? So you've changed it. And we opened the welcome booster and was just like, oh, you're not going to need any of these. Because it's like, it's a nice little, have a little gift, but it's kind of crap, you know.
I mean, I think, you know, so Alex does something cool where he lends his deck out to people who want to come play. You know, come play some, you know, if you want to come play some formats, like Alex kind of, you know, has been happy to lend decks out, which I think is fantastic. And like, you know, not to harp on about Middle-earth, but that's essentially what we do too. Yeah. It's like, if people want to, you know, oh, well, I'm new to the game, I've played a few games, but I want to try a tournament or something, I'm happy to lend stuff out. A lot of the guys are happy to lend stuff out. Like, I want people playing the game. I don't, you know, it doesn't matter to me if they're brand new, like, you know.
I think on that note as well, if you are a new player coming in, say you come to a Lord of the Rings pre-release, I think there's still tickets for the ones at Athena, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this week, whatever dates they are, like the 15th, 16th, 17th? Something like that. Yeah. If you do come and you want to play a format, I would highly, highly, highly recommend, if someone offers you a deck, please borrow it, because your experience as what you will get a much better idea of what that format is than if you turn up with 60 cards that you've just chucked together and 30 of them are lands. Like you will, you know, I know there's the whole welcome new players in, but even if you have the most kind, welcoming, easygoing people against you, you will lose every game if you have like 30, 40 lands in your deck. Like there's just no, you know what I mean? Like the card quality is a thing. So if there are decks available or armies available for wargaming, from my point of view, I would highly recommend borrowing them rather than you know, persisting, because you'll get a better idea of what you're
And also, it's a great way to try the game at a slightly higher level of play whilst investing no money.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, you know, the biggest thing. You know, if you then decide you love it and want to invest money, fantastic. You know, but at least you're going in with the perception of what, you know, of what you're getting out of the game, of how much you enjoy it, rather than just, you know, having to spend on money and then just getting slapped around.
Yeah, 100%.
But pre-releases, I always say pre-release is a special kind of magic, and it's weird, but it is. It really is. Like the community is what does it for me for games. Like, I play Middle-earth because it's not only a good game, but the community is amazing, and Magic has a really solid foundation of a community and stuff too.
I don't know what it is, but it's also people opening stuff. Like people are more likely to spend and open boosters, and there is a nice buzz about that. Like, oh, they got a cracked card. You might not be of that mindset that I am. You might be like, oh, why did they get it and I didn't? But personally, I like seeing people open cool stuff. Like, I hope someone opens a series, not the ring, I think that's like a ridiculous thing. But if someone opens a serialized card in a collector's booster, that would be really crazy cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Even if it's the non-foils or whatever, like, it's still really awesome, you know. So hopefully that magic will happen at pre-release here, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I say, I'm just going to get slapped around on this Sunday with my deck with way too many lands in, probably, or not enough lands in, and trying to muddle my way through. But you know what? Like, if, you know, get some cool characters on the table, I'll be happy with that. You know, playing Aragorn is going to be super cool. I'm a little underwhelmed with Glorfindel's card.
I don't even know that one.
I just didn't think the artwork was super cool.
Oh yeah. The art is a big thing. Like I think most of the art has been amazing, but there are some where it's like, that's a lazy artwork.
Yeah, I didn't really know what was going on with it, but for one of he's definitely one of the most popular characters from Tolkien's Legendarium. To get a kind of so-so artwork. Maybe it's because he's not in the movies.
Yeah,
but
but I even
bloody
think
Arwen.
I can't remember. There's one character in the film, I can't even remember who it was, but I saw the artwork and I was just like, if you take away the nameplates, that could just be like generic Magic character.
Yeah,
like
sure.
You know what I mean? Like with Gandalf or whatever, it's super obvious of like, oh, outfit, hat, like, oh, it's a wizard of some kind. Gandalf, you know, you can put two and two together, and like hobbits and dwarves. Although I know dwarves are in Magic, Lord of the Rings, I think it's like there's a very, you know, you put the weapon together with the everything else. It's easy to see.
Has there been a strong presence of dwarfs in Magic?
Very small, very small. There's probably not enough. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Real Magic fans, but I don't think there's enough to make kind of like a themed commander deck around it. But they, in Throne of Eldraine, which was like the fairy tale one, they did have the 7 dwarfs, and you could put 7 in your deck, which was kind of funny. Like, it's like the I love that they've done that with the ring wraiths. That there's, I think there's
9 different arts.
9 arts, and you can put 9 in the deck. That's cool.
That's really cool.
I hope a lot of people trigger like Lord of the Rings fans by putting like 4 of one art and 5 of the other art in, and just, you know what I mean, like teasing it out by playing 2 of the different art, and then the third one's the same and the fourth one's the same.
Yeah.
But you know, it's nice that they've done it. So to kind of ask the question, if you're happy to answer this,
okay.
This is more just to have like a line in the sand for the Magic players that think this is a bad product. How much of a, like the percentage-wise of your Middle-earth play groups, like Lord of the Rings fans, you know, rough percentage, how many are coming into Magic to try this out?
So there's quite a few people who, so there is a bit of crossover in terms of people who play Commander and people who play Middle-earth. Those guys are obviously definitely coming. It is quite low. There's a lot of perception of kind of like, oh, we'd be interested in picking up cards, and I've been trying to tease those people into coming to pre-release too. Mm-hmm. It's gonna, you know, it's probably, maybe it's 10%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see on the day how many like walk-ins you get then, because I guess maybe it's a case of like that side of the fandom. If you're invested like straight up, if you're already invested in tabletop games and other TCGs and other hobbies, like you might not want to add another one to that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like the local community for Middle-earth is pretty big. It's like 60 players.
Yeah.
But I think as well, it is that idea, and there is a divide between tabletop players and TCG players.
Yeah, definitely.
There is definitely a divide there, and like, you know, that's another elitist thing that people need to get over. You know, like, if you play Middle-earth and you want to play, you know, whatever on a card game as well.
Oh yeah, to be fair, I'm guilty of that. Like, I was actually teasing one of my friends the other day, just saying I'm not going to ever play a game that requires me to have a tape measure.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like, and the other day, when I was playing, I remember playing Dragon Ball one night, and some guys were coming in to play Middle-earth, and they were like, "Oh, you play TCGs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like, you know, play everything. Like a little bit anyway." But you know, I don't see. It's just another way of expressing and getting that hobby fix, you know. And I play a lot of the Lord of the Rings LCG, which is the living cards game. It's a fantasy, so it's like that's more like a card game, board game type product. Yeah. So for me, more Lord of the Rings is just great. Just, you know, it would be great to see more tabletop players come and play Magic. It would be cool to see Magic players come and play tabletop games too, but I understand, and like I think space is always a big thing, right? You can play Magic over a tabletop, like over a coffee table. Sorry.
Yeah. I was about to say that for any fans on the fence of tabletop games, to have a full Michael from Team Templar literally fits his entire Magic collection in a bundle box.
Yeah. Like
that big, and that's all he has at home.
And I do. You know. There are times I go to tournaments and I think to myself, man, if I was playing a TCG tournament, I could just bring a deck box. Yeah. You know, there's a lot that comes with it, right? But I think that's part of the and people like it for the models too.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of swag, isn't it? Like some of the Dragon Ball guys would say that I'm probably a bit of a I like shiny cards a lot, so I love like pimping out like proper foil decks as well. But you know, and I think it's the same with wargaming. You want your stuff to look great, painted and.
Do you paint yourself, or do you?
I do a little. I dabble. Basically, stuff I don't care about, I paint.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And I handily get people to paint the other things.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't.
When I was younger, I used to paint quite a lot, and then as I've got older, I've just realised that I'm not really good at it.
It's just the time-consuming aspect for me. Like, I don't know, like that is ridiculously time-consuming.
Yeah, and I play a lot of video games too, and you know, there's not enough time, and I do want to see my wife.
Yeah. That's usually something that comes into it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been good to talk on. I mean, we've touched on Lord of the Rings. We've also waffled about a lot of other stuff. But that's always the way it is.
Apologies for the waffle.
No. I think no promises, but I think we might try and do some kind of a Commander game at some point on the channel, depending on, maybe we'll stream it live, I don't know. Streaming it live is the lazy way to do it, right? Because then you don't have to edit it. It's just like, hey, we're here for this hour, and then we're gone.
But maybe, you know, if we pick up a few of the Commander decks, maybe we can get some of the guys who haven't tried Magic before and stuff.
Yeah. It could be a cool idea. I know I'm pretty sure at least a couple of the Templar guys are buying like all the decks. So I'm not. I don't know. I want to buy all the decks, but I also know that having lots of precons is just like you just don't end up using them.
I'm definitely going to pick up. I really want to pick up the Elven Council because I've always loved elves.
Yeah.
But I kind of think the Wraith one looks really cool too.
So as far as I know, the Wraith one for Magic players hasn't been one that anyone has talked about. So if you want one that's like unique to come in to
that's
Monday
night
or whatever, that's probably a good one. The food one's been the most popular. Like everyone has just harped on about the hobbits because food.
Hobbits, yeah, fair.
But yeah, so if you're around this weekend,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we've got two on Saturday, one on Sunday, and one on Friday night. Friday night is obviously always super popular. There's up to 40 tickets. We're most of the way sold through that. So Friday, so that's cool. And
actually, I think this video will be up on Wednesday, so it will be like 2 days' time. So
nice.
you have 48 hours.
So what I'm saying might be entirely irrelevant. So.
Yeah. I did suddenly think that. I was like, when is this going up?
Let's put it up next Monday.
It's going up on
Wednesday. People came on Friday. Me for the Friday night pre-release. That was last week, mate. But yeah. We'll be doing a couple of drafts for this set as well. So
the following week.
Yeah, so the following Friday will be draft for Tales of Middle-earth, actually it's called. Not Tales from, isn't it? I think I could put it up. Don't know. And then the following Friday is exactly the same.
Also, you're doing two
weeks, and there's also a celebration event for Middle-earth coming as well.
There'll probably be more stuff in a few months as well, because then they're like rehashing more stuff.
There's some cool swag for that. I think it's bags and dice, I want to say. But more details to be confirmed about that one.
I still, the one thing that has riled me up about the set, the only thing I have a problem with, I don't know if you know this, is the special edition collector's boosters. Have you heard about these? So whenever WotC do a product, collector's boosters, they do one run and it's done. Especially with this, there are 3 million packs or whatever, one ring, 1 in 3 million. They're releasing special edition collector's boosters in like November, and they're exactly the same, but without the serialized cards. But they're calling them the special edition. And the only reason they're doing it is so they have a legal way to reprint the product without messing up the 1 in 3. You know what I mean, the serialized element of it. So for me, I'm like, why didn't they call the first ones the special edition and then the other ones the regular pack that they can keep reprinting? But yeah, that seems a very odd.
That seems strange,
odd move. But it's different packaging, different but exactly the same contents minus
the serialized
1 ring.
cards. Stuff that people want.
Who knows? But thank you for listening, watching, wherever you are.
Yeah.
And,
thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, we'll get you back on at some point. I want to put you under pressure on camera here. I want to do an interview of like how it is running a game store at some point. Like,
yeah, sure.
Your experiences in the field, because you've been in like the hobby world for a long time now, right?
Yeah. So. So I mean, I started. I don't want to ramble on to, but I started wargaming when I was 7. So
yeah. Well, if we might have Mitch back on very soon to discuss all of that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.
Bye.